Good morning, it's Shanna. I'm hitting record for the second time today because I want to do Jay's VR just one deck. She is over at Iridescent Tarot, and I didn't want to spoil what deck she chose, and about 2 minutes into the last record, I spoiled it. So we're starting again. I don't want to spoil her video. Go check it out. It's short and sweet. I think it's less than 13 minutes, and she has some really great reasons for why she chose that deck. And I feel like I easily could have chosen the same deck for all the reasons that she mentioned and more. But I decided against it because I'm just kind of obsessed with the one that I did choose. So I'll just show you. It is the Herb Crafters. And I have it all taken apart out of the box already because, like I said, I already started talking about it. So the Herb Crafters, I almost chose Morgan Greer Tarot because I really do love that deck and I think it would be a good one long term, but I don't know that if I only had one that I wouldn't get real sick and tired of the faces on the deck. And for that reason, I did not pick it and I chose the Herb Crafters instead. And also, as much as I love Morgan Greer, it doesn't have a very great guide. It's just a little white book. Whereas this book goes into the image, there's mythology, it talks about the specific suits and the elements, it talks about numerology, it talks about herbs, it gives you like an activity with every card. And so there's just a lot more to this guidebook than Morgan Greer could ever offer. And for that, I thought this would be a good one for the long haul, should I need that option. So the premise behind this video is one tarot and one oracle. So I will be showing this tarot first, and then we'll get into the oracle and the why. So the Herb Crafters. So as I said, if I were to have chosen the Morgan Greer, I think I would have gotten really sick of their faces. But I think if I chose a deck without faces, I think I would also miss that aspect of a human quality. And so I thought this was the next best thing because you do have that human aspect in the hands without a face. And so you don't get necessarily the emotion of the person other than what's happening around them. So it's not really about their emotion necessarily, but the world around them. And so for that, I thought that would be a perfect way to use tarot in a multitude of ways without getting sick and tired of the deck. Now, who knows? 45 years later, if I'm still using the exact same deck, sure, I would probably be bored. Anyway, we're getting a little off the beaten path here, but point being, I think this is a perfect balance between not having people and yet still having people. So I just love this deck. You get into herbology, you get into crystals. It talks about every aspect. The guidebook talks about every aspect on every card. And I just think that between the way they drew the light on a card, or the season that they chose, or the animal that they put in, or the beverage that's here, everything down to the color of the chair and the blue bandana, there's just a lot to take away from this deck. And for that, I think it would serve its purpose for decades. And besides that, the cardstock is quite, it's that classic US Games cardstock. I think it would hold up very well. It shuffles well. It breaks in well. And I just think that if you like this deck, there's no going wrong with it. I think it would serve its purpose, and I think it could have a masculine energy, it could have a feminine energy, obviously it could have a neutral energy. I'm going to switch sides here so that we don't get shadow. And I just think that its voice lends itself to the idea of consistency. I think it has a certain level of all encompassing whatever it is you're going through, whether that's to take it away or to explore it. I think this deck can do that. I think it has the energy and I think it holds enough wisdom in each card to carry itself through any kind of question, any situation, you know, whether it's, I don't know, a zombie apocalypse or, you know, any of the things. Like, it doesn't have to be a zombie deck to get you through a zombie apocalypse. And I think in a lot of ways this deck could help bring back that nostalgia, or, you know, say you decide never to spend money on a tarot deck again. I think this deck could carry you through that decision. I like the fact that there are people, because I think in a lot of ways, I feel like if you're going to never buy another tarot deck, there's probably a bigger reason than just the decision not to buy another deck. And so I feel like having that human connection without it being a specific person or feeling like a specific person could be very important, and something that I think I would crave if I didn't have any other decks in my collection. And it's pretty witchy, if I do say so, without feeling witchy, right? So I just think no matter what phase of life I would be in, no matter my age or who I was reading for, I think this deck could carry through very well. Okay, so that being said, the oracle I chose is the Death Doula. For kind of the opposite reason, I chose this because there are no people. And I think there is a lot to be said about the absence of them. When the other deck, you know, does have people, technically does have people. This one has the ability to, it's very malleable. Let's go with that. I love this deck. This has the ability to take whatever situation you're in, whether it's grief, celebration, new beginnings, endings. And I think it has that ability to convert those into I think it has the ability to take whatever situation you're in and narrow it down into a card in a way that's readable and digestible without being too narrow, without being pinpoint, without having a single meaning every single time. Like if I'm in let's say we're in the ending of some situation and I draw this card, Solitude, right? Like that's going to give me a very specific reading. But if I'm in the beginning of a situation, or I'm having, you know, feelings of doubt, this same exact card is going to give me a very different reading. And I think because there are no people in here, it lends itself to that openness and the idea that as people, we are able to adjust and mold ourselves to whatever it is we're going through. And I think that's kind of the point, is that we are entirely capable of making it through these situations, but to be able to see it in picture form with a word on the book or on the card, and being able to package it up in a tidy space can be very helpful when we're going through whatever it is we're going through. And on the topic of guidebooks, I adore this guidebook. I've mentioned it multiple times before. It's a beautiful guidebook. It's very concise, but the little bit that is on each page for each card is very poignant and succinct. And I like that, let me see, a lot of them, not every single one, but a lot of them will have suggestions on other pages. So it'll say, see establishing an altar on page 22, a meditation on 34, and somatic healing on 39. This one says see formlessness meditation on page 26. So it refers back and forth throughout the book. And I think that's a really brilliant idea to creating a book that encompasses the entire deck. You know, it's not just one entry per card. And I think for that reason, it lends itself to being a forever and one and only oracle. I think the images are beautiful. I like the fact that it's real life images, it's photography. So it's things that we would see in our real and everyday life. And I know that for some people that would be the exact reason why they wouldn't choose this deck, you know, if it was their last ever deck. And I think the argument could be that, you know, you can go out and see these things. You don't need a deck of cards for it. However, for me, I like being able to associate what I see in the card with what is happening in the world around me and getting a keyword for it and being able to refer to the guidebook and allowing my intuition to fully help me realize what that signifies. What I'm going through, I want some kind of significance in that. And I think this card can offer it. Or excuse me, I think this deck can offer that. I think the keywords are brilliant, or phrases, as the case may be. I think it's a broad enough term that, again, no matter what you're going through, it can relate to that situation. But it's not so broad as, like, I don't know what this is. Maybe these are scales. Like, if this keyword was scales, I just feel like that's such a pinpoint word and such a pinpoint aspect of this image. For me personally, I don't see how that would get me through, you know, having this as my only deck. It doesn't really work for me in general as it is currently, so I don't think that would work for me as an only deck. Whereas these connect with the dead. What does that mean? Like, if I'm going through, I don't know, some kind of treatment for an illness, you know, connect with the dead. What does that mean? Do I need to make peace with my own death? Do I need to connect with ancestors to get me through the situation? Beauty in death, you know, do I need to come to terms with the idea that I won't be dying? The shadow. There's just so much that you can get from each of these phrases on the cards that I think, again, no matter what your situation is, this deck could potentially get you through it, no matter what it is. Whether you're by yourself, if you are with a significant other, you're with a sibling, you're with a team, whatever it is, you know. And to me, I don't know, to me, saying, you know, you have one tarot and one oracle, to me that sort of sounds like end of times, because why else would I not ever have another tarot deck? I don't know. So I think that they would work beautifully together, besides the fact that I think I could use each of them individually as forever decks, as a one and only. I think they would go together and work together beautifully. So then not only are you getting a tarot and you're getting an oracle, but you're getting a pair that is essentially like a third vibe, right? Like, this is the first vibe. You can use it by yourself and get the meanings from the tarot. The oracle would be a secondary vibe. You get your meanings and your messages through that. But combining them, Witness Love with Two of Fire and Bee Balm, it's an entirely, it's a third option. So I think these two together are brilliant. And yeah, if I had to pick one of each, you know, one tarot, one oracle, I think these would be the two that would successfully see me through. Like, look at this together. This is gorgeous. If I could choose a third, which I know I can't, if I could choose a third, I might throw in the Chroma Mystic, just because, or Color Mage, I keep calling it Chroma Mystic, the Color Mage, because I think pulling in those colors would be amazing, but I know I can't, so I won't. Moon and Five of Air, Beauty and Death with Nine of Earth. I just think there's so much to get from the two of these together, and honestly, I've never paired them. And now that I'm looking at them, I'm pretty blown away, actually, by their meanings and their messages and the way that they are carrying themselves in their own spaces, but also able to merge together. Let's look at one more, and then we'll leave it at that with an extra short video. Fear and the Fool. Yes, that's perfect. It's perfect. What else can I say? So I was so super excited to see this tag. I know there's been, I wanted to mention too, someone in her comments said that she had previously done a tag like this. I think it was like 2 years ago, but that it just hadn't caught on. And so she shared her link in the comments of Jay's video. So if you're curious, highly recommend going to check that out, because I know it's always kind of a bummer when you make a tag and it just doesn't catch on. Jay did say multiple times that she checked to see if the tag existed, she checked to see if the tag existed and didn't find anything. So she invited, not allowed, but she invited the other commenter to share that link in her comments. So I thought that was nice. It's just another reason why I love this community so much. There's no gatekeeping here. We can acknowledge when someone else has, the same good idea, and highly recommend checking out both of those videos if you have the time. And if you want to join in, I know that Jay would be thrilled to have you do that. So this should be, it's either the first of 2 or second of 2 videos this week. I'll be posting twice, which doesn't often happen, but I was inspired, so that's what we're doing this week. So I have nothing else. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me, and I will catch up with you next time.